Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the plant-powered special lunchtime plant-based chef series presented by Plant-Powered Metro New York. I'm Chef Rebecca Johnson. We're thrilled to share our 5th anniversary with you as we celebrate that we're rooted. So we'll be putting a culinary spotlight on the incredible versatility and deliciousness of root vegetables. Throughout the month of March, every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be featuring talented chefs who will tantalize your taste buds with creative dishes starring different root vegetables. Here's what you can look forward to. Today, I will kick off the series with a vibrant and flavorful tartare featuring the earthy goodness of beets and avocado. Next week, Chef Brandy Cochran from Plant Candy will take us on a culinary adventure with her tangy carrot ginger dressing. On the 3rd Wednesday, Chef Anthony Spino will wow us with a dish highlighting the sweet and satisfying qualities of sweet potatoes. And for the grand finale, on the 4th Wednesday, Chef Sergio Villavicencio will dazzle us with his yuca and fiery pepper creation. You won't want to miss a single episode of this mouth-watering series. Tune in to our YouTube channel every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch these cooking demonstrations and learn new plant-based recipes and be inspired to elevate your culinary skills. We'll be sending out the recipes at the end of the month, so you can recreate these delicious dishes in the comfort of your own kitchen. From our kitchen to yours. Now, let's get to today's recipe. As I mentioned, I am making a beet tartare with avocado. Although in this recipe it's not a lot of cooking, there are a couple of steps that you can do in advance. And one of them is how you're actually going to season this. And so the seasoning is going to be a chili sauce as well as a balsamic glaze. This balsamic glaze has no sugar, but it does have maple syrup. Very simple if you make it the day before and then put it in the refrigerator, and it actually thickens, which is great. And the other thing is this tomato chili sauce. And so I'm using some tomato paste, which I will add to this container because I'm actually going to leave this in my refrigerator for a couple days. It doesn't have to. You can use it within hours, and that's totally fine. But this includes tomato sauce with the tomato paste, putting it right in my jar. Gonna mix it all together, as you can see. And then a little bit of, and you'll get the amounts, but a little bit of, this is going to sweeten it a little bit. It's a maple syrup and a vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar, which always adds a lot of flavor. Chili powder, and a little bit of cloves, as well as some smoked paprika. It's not right. And I'm gonna add just a little bit. I just got back from Mexico, so you know how it is when you travel and you love those flavors. So I have some habanero here, but you could use Tabasco as well. You just want to give it a tiny little kick. Not much. I'm not a huge hot pepper person, but I do like a little bit because it amplifies the flavor. So I'm mixing all those together. I'm going to put a little black pepper. And now I'm just going to shake this up and put it aside because this is going to go into my beet tartare. Okay, so now I have the glaze ready as I showed you. So working with the beets is something that people have different ways they like to do that. Number one, beets are heart healthy. And they're actually called beet roots because, again, we're rooted, and this is a root vegetable. The stems are edible, absolutely, and you can even make a salad out of it. But they have vitamin A, vitamin C, and fiber. And it is a food that is a high antioxidant, so it's protective in terms of your colon and your heart. My favorite ways to prepare beets actually are to roast them. And I roasted these whole. So this took a little longer. In the recipe, the original recipe, which I tweaked, you can peel them and then chop them, dice them and put them in the oven. But I actually did mine whole. So these were on 400 for an hour. And actually, at the same time, I put in my garlic. I took my garlic out within 10 to 15 minutes. But I like that. Why? Because you can literally just pull off the skin. You know, trying to peel beets and root vegetables is a little hard. Doesn't matter what they are. Squash is another one that's hard. But in this case, it just slips right off. The peel slips right off. I don't want the color to affect my board, so I'm actually using a plastic board. And so these are my beets here. I'm actually using a yellow beet and a red beet. Just want to give it a little more color. And then I'm going to cut these into chunks. Now, what you want to do is you want to try to make sure that you are cutting them in the same thickness. Because, of course, I always say this, if anybody watches me, we actually eat with our eyes first. So we're making these into cubes, and you're going to see that when you put your tartare together. Again, we're going to leave some of this aside because we're going to make a paste, because that's what's going to actually help the beets stay together. So I'm just going to do the same thing over here. Oh, look at these golden beets. Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. And if you look at the rings, yeah, I kind of geek out on this stuff. It kind of looks like wood, right? It's got rings inside. And that's the beauty of plants in general, is there's just so much to them that many times we overlook. But those of us who are doing this, we love our plants and we love featuring the qualities of the plants, the beauty of the plants, and of course, the nutrition. That's why we're eating them. Okay, so I've got all of my beets here, just a couple more to chop. They smell so good. I'm sorry, gotta eat. Because beets are sweet. And honestly, the roasting, which is my favorite way to make them, actually makes them even sweeter. Some other ways you can make them that would be in my favorite category would be to oven steam. Yes, you can oven steam. Steaming them on the oven, on the stove top with water actually leaches some of the nutrition out, so that's why that's not one of my favorites. But do you know you can make them in an Instapot with very little water and even air fry them? So you can definitely do that. All right, so what do we have here? We have our chopped beets, which I will show you. And I'm just gonna leave a little out of the red ones because, as I said, I'm gonna make a paste so you can see that. And then I am going to take the other ones and chop them up, mash them a little bit, because as I mentioned, we want that to help them stay together. So I'm just using the back of my knife. I'm gonna chop. I mean, I guess you could use a potato masher if you want. It's just not that much. It's just a little bit, right? So we're just gonna make sure that these are a paste so that they can keep it together, help keep it together. All right, so that's one part. So really, after you do the prep, you know, when you roast the beets, you don't have to stand there and watch them, right? You can literally go away. So that's why I think this recipe is an easy one, and it's great for the season that is about to happen, right? We're looking to spring, we still have our beets, and so this recipe, because it's roasted, not only is it moist and tender, but all the good stuff is still in there. And then the other thing is the garlic. So I have roasted the garlic. As I said, I roasted it along with the beets. So this is going to be like a paste too, right? So now I'm gonna mix these two together, the garlic and the beets that I left aside. So I'm getting that garlic flavor in there. And I guess you could, if you wanted to, you know, sometimes when I cook, I try to avoid using equipment because it's like a process of cooking and cleaning. And so, you know, we want to try to make this as simple as possible. You know, it should not be difficult to eat healthy, not at all. So I am actually making sure that the garlic is throughout. And they still stand up. They're not mushy at all because I've roasted them. So that's a great thing. Okay, so that garlic is in there. And so now I'm going to add this to the bowl. All of this to the bowl. And this is where my glaze comes in. Again, the glaze is going to actually help hold it together. I'm only going to use a tablespoon. It's balsamic, and you know balsamic has a very strong flavor, so you really don't need a lot. And then this is where my chili sauce comes in. And so I'm going to add about a tablespoon. I'm eyeballing it, but you know when you make these recipes, it's always good to taste the flavors to make sure that it's something that you like, and then you can remove things or add things. So here is my mixture. Right, so this is all my beets and my chili sauce and my glaze. So actually, I'm gonna do what I'm telling you to do. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. All right, so that's one. So this last thing is the avocado. And so I'm absolutely gonna just mash it together and put a little spritz of lemon juice because the lemon juice is gonna keep it green. And that's what we want. We want that color, especially if this is something you're gonna serve at a table, an event or something, and it's gonna sit out for a while. You want that color to be maintained. And if you don't know, this is how you get a seed out of a beet. You just chop, twist with your knife. Just make sure you keep your hand out of the blade. My blade is very sharp. I sharpen my knife for this demo, so I just want to make sure I'm careful. And then again, all this avocado yumminess, just mash. Of course, this is a lot easier to mash because it is already soft. It's a perfectly ripe avocado. Yes. And we don't want it too mashed. We want to still see some of the chunks. Okay, we still want to see some of the chunks of the avocado. And as I said, I'm just going to spritz it, the little lemon juice, brighten it up a little bit in terms of color, but also flavor. And so now here's the fun part that I absolutely love, and that is the plating. Yes. And so we're going to use cookie rings to plate it. And so all we do is put it in the middle. We're going to put our beets in. Make sure that they're in there. You're going to press them down. Just make sure it's pressed because this is the bottom layer. And then slide it up. You can see that first layer. And then next is, I'm going to use a new one because that way the red's not there. Just lightly put it on. Put my avocado in. This is keeping it circular for me. You know, I just say the way we eat is just you want it to look good as well as taste good. So that's what I'm doing here. And as you see, this does not take long. It's really just, I sometimes like to do recipes in phases, and so that's why yesterday what I did was I cooked my beets and I made my glaze. My sauce I just made in front of you. And so there you go. And then we have a little bit of sprouts to put on top, make it beautiful. And I've got some white and black sesame seeds. There it is. You can eat it with a fork. I also have some rice crackers, which are unsalted. And you can just take them and dip. Make sure I get some of the beets. Make sure I get some of the avocado. And there you have your beet tartare. So yummy. So enjoy We're Rooted. Again, we have 3 more sessions, and we hope you watch them all, and most importantly, that you try these recipes. Thanks for watching.